right now, I'd like to introduce Enoch. Now, Enoch, please introduce yourself.
Peace and blessings, everybody. My name's Victor Enoch Gavilanes.
And what brings you into our studio this morning?
Oh, well, yeah, today to talk about the encampment down at Rutgers, Newark. The encampment that's in response to the war in Gaza, and to kind of give my accounts to, what it was like throughout the 40 days during the time that I was there observing. I was there 33 days out of the 40 days, and to also kind of give insight of the rally and the protests that followed after the dismantling of the encampment.
Okay, so we're looking forward to the details and information on that as you have an opportunity to disseminate your reporting from your journalistic point of view. And so I'd like to introduce the show to, well, let me just begin by saying music is like poetry and has a message, and history, like a diamond, shines clear to the truth. You see, words have meanings that we can comprehend, like definitions, and news can show us a chain of events that we may not always understand. Now, I'm asking each and every one of you to pull back your musical curtain, especially acknowledging Black Music Month being the month of June. And as someone said to me last week, Black Music Month is every day, right? You're going to pull back your musical curtain to see and hear the contributions of our diaspora. And you're sure to find our Quest moment, where we attempt to make waves, indeed, vibrations. So I want to thank you once again for joining us to hear a different perspective of our community. Musically, as we continue, we have content and information coming your way, so don't you go anyplace with the sounds of Marvin Gaye.
This is not the way my head's supposed to be, baby. I be feeling like some silly fool. But I know a real nice place where I can go and feel the way I'm supposed to feel. Oh, I don't want to be mad at nobody. I don't want to be feeling bad up and down my back, my spine, in my brain. It ain't just me, baby. Anger can make you older. Yes, it can. I say anger will make you sicker. Anger destroy your soul.
Okay, so we're going to get started. You're tuned to WSOU 89.5, live from the campus of Seton Hall in South Orange. First of all, I would like to give a shout out to my Uber driver, Stephanie. Good morning. And you be safe out there on the highways and byways on the road. And joining me here today is our new student host, Grace Davis, and Enoch. Enoch, I want you to come up to the microphone and start with your story. You ready?
Sure. All right. So peace, everybody. Well, I think the best thing I could do is start from my initial accounts. The encampment started on May 1st in response to again to the war in Gaza. Also, as a show of solidarity, like many other universities throughout the nation and in some parts of the world, to show solidarity, right? To Palestinians who have been impacted so much by the genocide happening that's been going on for a very long time. I think folks need to understand that it's been longer than just October 7th, right? October 7th was the most recent of the violent attacks, but it sparked up a fire in so many people, and with all of the movement bubbling that's been happening throughout the country over the past, I say about 6 or 7 years, this really sparked up something different within the hearts and the minds of not just Palestinians and Muslims across the country, but also, a lot of folks, minorities, black and browns and even white allies as well. Specifically in Newark, I began attending the location 2 days later. I could tell you right now from my visual point, witnessing and reporting, doing interviews with individuals there, the sense of community evolved over the 40 days that the encampment lasted. I think it's important to highlight that this was the longest encampment in the nation. I know a lot of the folks that were involved in the encampment don't really want to kind of highlight that, because to them, the true longest encampment are those who have been affected by the war, who have been encamping truly in Palestine, who have lost their homes, who have been displaced. But I think it's still important right here at home, in the city of Newark and in New Jersey, to highlight that as well. Newark's history with social justice movements, I think that this is a very historical moment. And the Newark Solidarity, which are the key organizers behind this encampment, along with supporting a group, the Newark Water Coalition, and many other advocates and students that were also there. I think that what I witnessed being there was something unique in itself. Folks came from different walks of life, with different vibrations, different energies. People who suffered in different aspects of trauma, facing oppression and racism. I think this particular movement has highlighted so much similarities of oppression that we are seeing around the world, but we're also seeing here in the U.S. To link the atrocities, to link the genocide to things like gentrification or economic disparities here in the U.S. It may sound crazy to a lot of people, but when you dissect all of what's happening, when you look through past all the smoke and mirrors and you start to really see what's what and where the money is going and who is really controlling the chips on the table, you really start to see how everything is linked, right? And in this encampment, so many discussions revolved around that. And there was many teachings during the 40 days that were there, and teachings that focused around organizing, focused around building leadership, as well as focused around educating folks, not just of what's going on and why we were there, right? It was also about, what's to come and what the future is like and what it is movement building, right? And socialism and capitalism and understanding these isms as many people fear talking about.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
so I need to get in here. First of all, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Sure. Well, I'm an organizer in the city of Newark. I'm also a student journalist. I originally started in doing community interviews through Newark Community Voices, and which I through the encampment I was able to meet great folks and activists, which brought me to Public Square Amplified, and where now I'm currently taking on a journalism course through that. I am also a housing organizer in the city of Newark. I've been a long-time organizer in my city, born and raised, Newark native, and a Taino. And I
Wait a minute. What?
Taino.
What is that? What is that?
Indigenous people from out of Puerto Rico.
There you go. Well, it's let's throw the accuracy on that, right? It's the indigenous people that are throughout the Caribbean. They are of the Arawak Nation. There are a mixture of many indigenous cultures that come throughout Central and Northern America. And the Tainos are directly connected to the Arawak, which comes from South America, which a lot of folks don't know. So yeah. Thank you for thank you for recognizing me either way, and I appreciate that for you giving me the opportunity to kind of.
Well, wait a minute. Sometimes, we get so intimate in the studio here, and we seem to forget that we are talking to an audience. And so that's why I'm here to kind of remind them. Ladies and gentlemen, the Black Librarian, please.
Definitely the Black Librarian.
Now, what were you saying at first?
What I was saying was that when you asked him, when he made mention of the term Taino, and I had went into, they're known mostly for Puerto Rico, but they're also to Hispaniola, Haiti, other different parts. You have Amaraks, different ethnic groups that were there, and they were there prior to the conquistadores actually setting sail into the New World.
Let me snap to that. Thank you, brother. Yes, that's true. That is definitely true. I appreciate that.
Okay. And there's the secret to. Okay, I started to say the secret to my success, and I don't need to start lying like that. But it's important to have people who are in the know about particular things, and what better person to have than the Black Librarian Tamir Davis. And full transparency, our new student host is Grace's daughter. Right. Yeah. And so that particular background of yours, Victor, has that led you to aspire to become a journalist?
Oh, man. I'm actually glad you asked that particular question because, in many ways, because I feel like it's been a journey for me, reconnecting with my indigenous roots, and it's a story that needs to be told. And in many ways, it's a story that I feel like I have to tell, and I have to share amongst my people, because it's my experience coming from an urban community, coming from the city of Newark, and reaching so far back into my ancestry to connect with my indigenous roots from Borinquen, which is all the way down in the Caribbean. So it's that journey in itself is something that needs to be reported on, right? And something that we don't hear much about. And thank you for asking that question.
Oh, no, that question basically is what I'm trying to get at. And that's why I had you to pause just for a moment while you're, talking about and reporting on the events that took place down at Rutgers, and to just give the audience an opportunity to see and feel who you are as they listen to your story. Now, from my understanding, from what actually taking place there, it was somewhat infiltrated at the end?
I wouldn't necessarily say infiltrated at the end. I could say like throughout the time there was a lot of discussion around accountability, right? New folks came in, so there was of course like with anything like this, there's a high alert and folks that need to know, they need to be in the know, right? They need that transparency of who is this person, why they coming here, and what's their agenda. And towards the end, you really had a lot of familiar faces. Like I be honest with you, I was not there during the dismantling, but I saw many videos of what happened during that raid, and a lot of those people that were there, that were being pushed out, those were the primary folks who have been there throughout the entirety of the 40 days of that encampment. And I'll tell you like this, infiltration-wise, there was a real strong core group as far as the organizers of this encampment. And there was different forms of vetting. So when I think about as far as infiltration, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, for lack of a better word, that's the phrase that I used, right? Now, I'd like for our audience to sit back, relax. We have more information coming up, including what's happening for us, and some phone callers that are going to call in and give us some what's happening for us. So don't you go anywhere. Keep it locked to 89.5 live from the campus of Seton Hall in South Orange. Yeah. It's time for a segment of what's happening for us, which is a compilation and rendering of a current event, a program, a lecture of the immediate contemporary interests of our broader community. And, it invites us to listen, and we invite you to listen. And it's designed to excite and inform and just let you know what's going on. And so without any hesitation, I have a former student, Marquise Lewis. Good morning, Marquise.
Good morning, Mr. Bay.
Okay.
It's good to be back.
Well, you're on the phone, so you're not necessarily back. All right. So
I'm busy.
Do you remember how many years it's been since you've been part of Quest Community Vibrations?
It's been a minute. I just remember coming on the air. Hey.
Okay, so
baby.
Okay, so that was when you were in high school. How old are you now?
36.
All right. So 36 years young, and now you have your son. What is your son going to do for us? He's going to present a what's happening for us.
Yes, I got my son, Mason Lewis, who is starring in a play called That's Not Cool, written by Pastor Michael Carr, who's also on the line, about bullying.
Yeah, well, share with us the information. When is this play gonna take place?
Well, hi, Mason.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, this play is going to take place June 8th, 28th.
That's next weekend.
Yes. It's on a Saturday.
Friday. It's on Friday. Pastor Carr, tell them more about the play. Not a problem. It's kind of early in the morning, but nevertheless, the play takes place on Friday the 28th. The doors will open at 6 p.m. and it will start at 7 p.m. We have an artist opening for us all the way from Virginia, flying in to actually be a part of what has turned into a campaign here to fight against and to stop the bullying that's going on. So we're looking for Newark and everyone to show up and to show out and be supportive of this great message to remind us that we are the caretakers of our brothers and sisters and that we need to learn respect and acceptance of others and their differences.
Okay. And so is this event free to the public?
This event, unfortunately, is not free to the public, not yet. There are certain events that will be going on throughout the summer that the various communities will be sponsoring, so it will be free. But this particular event is $20 for the actual entrance.
And the proceeds go where?
The proceeds continue to go to our campaign, and so we can actually continue to organize and go and also invest in one of the local communities at-risk organizations.
Okay, so this is a nonprofit organization. I just want to make that clear. And how do we support your organization? And give us a clear name of what we are supporting.
That's not a problem. The actual nonprofit organization arm of Initiatives Entertainment is MC Enterprises, which is nonprofit to do community events for our at-risk and urban communities as well. The actual name of the actual play, as was stated already, is That's Not Cool. Bullies Never Win. So whether it's from the White House to the pulpit or to the communities, that is what the aim and the actual full name of the actual stage production.
You know what? I want to thank you so much. And we look forward to actually meeting you and having you not just get up early in the morning, but commute up into the studio as well. How about that?
Oh, we will certainly love to do that. For those interested, they can visit the actual website under the umbrella of IEP, which is www.iep365.org.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right there. And next weekend, next Friday, Marquise, let's get your son in here so he can tell us, because he's actually in the play. Am I correct?
Yes.
And get him on the line and let him tell us what part he plays. And also, he needs to be able to say Quest Youth Radio is the best youth radio. Can I get him to do all of that?
That is all right.
Well, our character that plays named Timothy, and he's like often bullied a lot. He doesn't have a lot of clothes. He's labeled as less fortunate than the other kids in his class, and so he's picked on by his bullies. So, and stuff happens.
Right.
But you got to play to see the rest.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This is going to be like a cliffhanger so that people come out and support you. And so Quest Youth Radio is the best youth radio, and I'm going to sign you guys off, but I want to thank you once again for calling in. And are you ready? Marquise, have you coached him correctly?
I coached him.
Take it away.
Quest Youth Radio is the best youth radio.
Wait a minute. One more time, because we're going to join you here in the studio. Everybody, Quest Youth Radio is the best youth radio on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Quest Youth Radio is the best youth radio.
All right. Thank you, Marquise.
Thank you.
Are we all alone or all one?
Impossible.
Turn me into a false sense of security. Then take the rug right out from underneath me. No, I'm not going to take it anymore. No, I'm not going to take it anymore. Drowning me in your wicked duplicity. Finish the job with random hypocrisy. No, I'm not going to take it anymore. No, I'm not going to take it anymore. Been down this road too many times before. I'm so ready to be on the other side of the door. Do you ever hear yourself? What kind of fool you take me for? Drink so much your backside should be found. Respect. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Respect. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Honesty, education, trust, commitment, compassion, and enrichment. That's what I'm looking for. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Honesty, education, trust, commitment, compassion, and enrichment. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Been down this road too many times before. Make me so ready to be on the other side of that door. Do you ever hear yourself? What kind of fool you take me for? Tell 'em, girl. Trip so much your emotion is respect. You know that, yep, that's what I'm looking for. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Respect, yeah. Respect, yeah. You know that, yep, that's what I'm looking for. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Respect, yeah. Respect, yeah. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Respect, yeah. You know, respect, yeah. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Respect, yeah.
You're tuned to WSOU 89.5 live from the campus of Seton Hall in South Orange, and we are definitely live here in the studio with a lot going on, and we've had our guest Marquise Lewis and his son and a representative of their particular program, which is going to be taking place next Friday, and so we'll probably get them to actually come back and join us again. But right now we want to get back, and I was asking Mr. Davis to actually give us how are we doing, Mr. Davis?
I think that we talked on the periphery of what actually had taken place. We haven't gotten into some aspects of the resolution in moving forward, so on and so forth. We were looking for the additional reporters to actually chime on in so that we can have a collective sense of what had taken place at the protest for those last 40 days, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Okay, well, Victor, take it away.
Well, you know what? I gave you guys more or less a highlight of what was going on throughout the 40 days. I would definitely also like to say that the community that was in the encampment, it evolved over the 40 days, and it evolved into what appeared to be, a family of comrades. Let's say it wasn't like a hippie movement. You get what I'm saying? It was all focused on true next steps. It was like, hey, what we're gonna do now? Where we're gonna take it from after this, right? And that was the discussions before the raid actually happened. And they were already ready for it. About a week or so prior to the dismantling of the encampment, the Rutgers had put out a notice saying that, we want this shut down, right? Which, through negotiations that the encampment was having, with the organizers was having with Rutgers admin, it truly didn't feel like Rutgers was giving any seriousness towards what was happening, right? It felt like they were more bothered by the encampment folks being there versus actually really wanting to address them or really wanting to listen to what they were asking for, right? And I think that was something that was pushed through as we. Oh, I'm sorry, I almost slipped my mind right there. I'll just jump off right towards the dismantling of this encampment. On the 40th day, the actual 40th day of the encampment, there at 7 a.m. in the morning, folks were sleeping. Based on my interviews with folks there, and trying to gauge the gravity of what was happening that morning, folks were going through what they were going through. We had some organizers and other reporters who were first on the scene to make it there, and were actually there during the raid. Again, I got there about an hour or so afterwards.
I wanted to ask, because
go ahead.
I read briefly about some of what was taking place. I understand that there were some companies, that the protesters wanted Rutgers University to divest in terms of, one of the companies was Tel Aviv University. I mean, actually, I don't know if that was part of the agreement, but I know that there were some companies that they were asking to ask Rutgers to consider.
Yeah, divestment. So there was some entities involved that Rutgers had worked with that were basically benefiting from genocide. Tel Aviv University itself has a partnership with Rutgers Newark, right? Mm-hmm. And sending students over for, I think, if I'm not mistaken, on more of like a tech aspect. But Tel Aviv itself supports policies that displace Palestinians, that put more pressure, and actually there's a strategy that came out of Tel Aviv that is part of the oppression that we've seen happening in this war, right?
Are you saying that there was a think tank that actually developed out of Tel Aviv, mm-hmm. that actually was pushing the agenda mm-hmm. of genocide? Yeah.
You could basically say that. You could say the framework mm-hmm. of this genocide. So Rutgers, who in the past has divested from other entities for that are connected towards apartheid or some type of humanitarian crises. They've done it in the 1980s. They've done it back in 2009 with Darfur. So the North Solidarity Coalition was pushing for, hey, Rutgers, you've done this in the past. You see this happening. The world sees this happening. Right here in Newark, we have an opportunity to show precedent, right? Rutgers had an opportunity to show an example and divest from Israel, the state itself, from any entities that are profiting and benefiting from this genocide. the response back has just been, they'll put it into review, right? Rutgers has a joint committee of investment, so they have already a group of folks who are focused on divestment. But it fell on deaf ears, and I think that's something that needs to be also highlighted. And I thank you for asking on that end. What I think was unique about particularly Nork's demands was not only was a call for divestment, but it was also to consider reinvestment back into the city of Newark. And I think when we think about reinvestment, we're not talking about
what is that when you say reinvestment? What is that image? How's that going to be in terms of urban planning and urban designing? How's that going to be? How would that look?
Well, let's keep it real. Rutgers has a lot of properties, right?
Yeah.
They especially throughout downtown, they have a lot of large properties. It's an unknown. It's known to many, but in other words, is unknown to a lot that Rutgers coming into the city of Newark also displaced a lot of black and brown folks, and their continued purchase and development of properties have continued that displacement of families throughout the city.
Now, Rutgers been in Newark for how long? Is it since 1776 or how long?
No.
For a while,
they came in definitely in the 1900s. Not that long.
Because Rutgers is an old university.
Yeah,
so how old is Rutgers?
Oh my God! Don't even catch me lying to you.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna jump in here, right? And I need to ask your final words on what you observed, and if I'm correct, as a journalist, right? Give us the eyes and ears of a Rutgers student. You see, because what the audience needs to understand is that student protests have been taking place here in the United States since there have been students. And the eyes and ears as it came to an end, how would you describe that?
As the eyes and ears as it came to an end, the resolution of everything?
To the best of your ability from the student perspective.
To the best of my ability, I would say the movement itself was definitely something that transpired into something that focused on housing in Newark, right? After the dismantling of what happened with the raid, the focus on the demand on housing, on focusing on providing housing for the houseless, to the folks that were part of the encampment, because they had a couple of houseless folks that were from the community of Newark, right? And that were staying in the encampment throughout the 40 days that they were there. They were very active and they were very influential as a part of that.
Okay, but wait a minute. I asked a specific question here, and that was through the student eyes, not, and I'm talking about a tuition-paying student.
Oh, well, I'm not an actual student in Rutgers. I'm not an actual student in Rutgers.
No, I'm not talking about you as a reporter. As a reporter,
yeah.
What is your observation through the student's eye?
Oh, I guess my observations through the students' eyes is that they're upset, they're frustrated, and they're feeling the pressures of not only what's going on overseas, but what's happening here. Rutgers not answering, Rutgers not really budging, and it's angering students, because it's like, why are we going to come to a school and put our time and efforts and learn from this great institution, and you're not willing to protect us, you're not willing to defend us, you're not willing to support us in what we're asking for? Rutgers being this institution that has a legacy in like I said before, divesting from these apartheids and these wars, and here we are faced with this great genocide happening here in this modern day, and students all across the nation, not only in Rutgers, are mad. They are pissed. They are like, yo, what's going on? And you're hearing it, not just in Newark, but all across UCLA, NYU. You know, you're seeing all of these different universities out there that are facing what? They're facing the oppression. They are facing the police, the militarized police raids, right? They're facing that pushback. And that right there is where, you know, here in Newark, they didn't want to get violent. Here in Newark, they wanted to stay peaceful, and they remain peaceful, and which is something that's a strong principle for the Newark Solidarity Coalition, and where they say, hey, listen, we're going to do this the right way, in the most peaceful way possible, but we're angry, and we're going to let you know that we're angry.
So these students actually walked away having learned the lesson.
Oh, man, they learned a lot of lessons, but they walked away with fire in their heart, man. It's not like they walked away feeling destroyed or defeated. This is going to continue. This encampment was just right now, but there's rallies, there's protests that are following up after this. The protest that followed on June 12th, addressing housing, that was a part of the encampment. That was not just to talk about those folks who are impacted that were a part of the encampment. That was addressing a larger issue. That was addressing a larger issue in the city of Newark, which is affordable housing, low-income housing, the large number of houseless.
Okay, but I want to keep the subjects and the topics separate.
Yeah.
And when you talk about housing, that is a separate issue, but you bring it.
But it's a part of the demands, and I think that's why I think it's very important to highlight that, because that is a strong part of the demands right there.
Okay,
free housing.
And I would agree with you. You know, there's a difference between low income and affordable housing, because affordable housing is not so affordable.
Newark.
Well, not just in Newark, but throughout this country, as rents and property value has skyrocketed since the pandemic. But I want to give you final words to conclude from, again, an objective journalistic perspective. Final words. And stick to what I just said.
All right. My final words is that this is not over. Protests will continue. The movement will keep pushing. The Newark Solidarity Coalition will continue to have negotiations with Rutgers, although they it's questionable for them. But they will continue to have those open dialogues, and as far as I know, they are open to having an open dialogue with the city as well. In regards to, talking about a ceasefire, in regards to talking about that housing, in regards to talking about many different issues that were set in their demands. But yeah, those are my closing words. And I say, everybody out there, don't be afraid to stand up, stand strong, stand in solidarity. We all are going through something. We all are facing some struggles. And this encampment highlighted the war, but it addressed so many other things that are affecting us here in the U.S. So I think that's important to understand.
All right, and I'm going to let that be the final word for this particular interview from this Victor Enoch
Avellanes.
Okay, thank you. I definitely messed that up. However, the interview didn't get messed up.
Had to be very
right. And so we're going to continue musically, and don't you go anywhere.
Have them friends, ones we can depend on. Friends, how many of us have them friends? Before we go anywhere. me further, let's be friends.
Use every day, but most of the time in the wrong way. Though you can look the word up again and again. If the dictionary doesn't know the meaning of friends, and if you ask me, it could be myself. Cause a friend is somebody you judge for yourself. Some are okay and they treat you real cool. Some mistake your kindness for being a fool. They like to be with some because they're funny. Others come around when they need some money. Some you grew up with around the way. And you're still real close to this very day. Some you wish you never knew at all.
Friends, you never knew at all. Friends, how many of us have them? Friends.
Okay. In order to have Victor here in the studio, it's taken a number of different people behind the scenes. This particular young journalist has people behind him. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Josie Gunsavs. I'm the founder and publisher of Public Square Amplified.
And what exactly is that?
Public Square Amplified is a local non-profit news organization. It's a grassroots organization committed to using journalism as a tool of civics and civic engagement, and also to create the next cadre of emancipatory journalists in the sector. We're trying to interrupt journalism. We're trying to interrupt the legacy and classic journalism.
Okay, so in your viewpoint and opinion, did we kind of reach the mark? Did we get the brass ring this morning for trying to at least get there?
I'm really proud of Victor. Victor is part of our community journalism class. We've been running it. It's the second year in a row. We're actually only 2.5 years old. But he's one of 10 journalists being led by our senior editorial advisor, Dr. Todd Stephen Barrows. Shout out to Todd. And really shout out to Victor. You did an excellent job. We were probably the first journalists on the scene. We got the notification very early, 8 o'clock, and we called several of our journalists and said, go down there. The kind of journalism that we're attempting to do and we're committed to doing is to tell stories rooted in historical context. And our journalists must understand and be part of social movements to better tell the story. People can write for Patch or NJ.com or other places, but in Public Square Amplified, we're looking for rigor and to place our journalists and the stories and the issues within historical context to understand the social political constructs. And I think I think our journalists did that with this story. We talked about this not as a dismantling, but rather as an eviction. We talked about this as a struggle for democracy. We talked about this as a struggle to hold on to First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. For us, we saw that folks were consistent in showing up for the encampment. This is also a unique experience, I think, in my observation, and I've been in protests and covered protests. We saw community members and faculty and students coming together to organize and hold forth. So I thought this was, it is part of the larger global student intifada. But it was also a unique opportunity to see community members. Newark is a place where community matters, and community is part of what makes this city move, what makes the city tick, what makes social justice movements so unique, and sort of the history of what Newark represents in social justice movements. So I think we saw a lot of that. We saw a lot of students engaged. We saw community members engaged. There were many demands, but those demands, of course, were about something unique, sort of divest and reinvest, which we've seen from other protest movements within Newark that continue to sort of lead on divestment and investment.
Can I get you to give a shout out to the young journalists that weren't able to make it this morning that are participating?
So we've got Munira El-Bomani, who is not part of this class, but she's part of Public Square. She's actually a truck driver, so she's on the road right now. We've got Sam Rhodes, hello Sam, who is at a hospital right now taking care of a family member. And then we have Marcellus Count, who's also one of our journalists. So I want to say hello to all of them, and thank you so much. And really, thank you, Mr. Bay, for having us here today. It's an amazing opportunity to to spread the word on grassroots emancipatory journalism in Newark.
Okay, no, I want to thank you for being patient with me this morning. And, we're about to sign off and wrap it up. But we have another event taking place. Juneteenth took place on Wednesday. And on today, could you give us what's going on?
All right,
Grace?
Jersey City's own African Cultural Arts Juneteenth Family Festival Freedom Day celebration. On Saturday, June 22nd, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. The rain date is June 29th. There's going to be a main stage at 1 p.m. DJ recorded music, 2 p.m. Wilma and vocalist, 3 p.m. Houston Person Band Jazz Saxophone Legend, 4 p.m. Spectrum African Dancers and Drummers, 5 p.m. Carrie Jackson and All Stars vocalist Jazz and Blues.
All right. Thank you, Grace. And we've gone over a little bit, but we're going to say goodbye. Until next Saturday, we'll see you. I want to thank everyone here in the studio for joining us, including Matthias for being patient with us.
WSU South Orange, Seton Hall University's Pirate Radio. What can great minds do? Come see for yourself.